Welcome back, guys. Bringing you guys another anniversary box support video. In this video, we're going to be going over the starter deck from the Unison block. Blue Vegito, Blocker Vegito, Unison Vegito. I don't know what people call this deck. Godhood Transcended. This is a deck, if you guys have been fans of the channel, this was a deck I first started getting really into competitive Dragon Ball with. In set 10. Played a lot of red blue. I fucking love this deck. I love this leader. This was a very fun deck for me. I think back in the day, I won my first store champs with this deck. There's a lot of cool memories with this deck. So to see it get some support, it's very cool. I don't know how much it could be relevant. I always found this deck to be very strong in a small pool of decks. When you start branching out and adding a lot of this meta stuff, it starts to lose a little bit. But I think with the support, you might be able to play this deck and actually see some success with it, even on some higher competitive levels. So let's go to the leader real quick for you guys who don't know. You draw one on both sides when you attack. On the front side, if it's your opponent's turn, when a blue Unison or one of your battle cards is removed by a skill or by KO'd, you draw 2 to awaken. So you can awaken essentially at 8 life, which is fantastic. Or you awaken at 4 where you're restand 1, draw 1. Now on this side, you draw 1 when you attack again. Activate battle, choose up to one of your Unisons, and blue Unisons gets 10k and triple strike for the battle, so you kind of use your Unisons as sort of a game ender, in a sense. And then auto, if it's your opponent's turn, same effect as the front side auto, but now you restand a mono blue energy and draw 1. So if one of your battle cards is removed, you get the draw card and restand energy, which then sets up more defensive plays for you. I would say that's a very good effect. So now let's dive into the deck. The deck is built around early game blockers. That's kind of the idea. So we have 3 Rhoda, 3 Oob of Power, Power of Hope. So these guys are both 1-drop blockers. Rhoda, when he dies, he restands a blue energy, so essentially turning your Awaken into a draw 2 restand 1. Very good card, but after turn 2, it's probably bad to play. You're gonna see it's very easy to remove. It had barrier, probably would be a 4 of. I mean, who am I kidding? It's a 3 of, so it's pretty close. But if it had barrier, I think it would be good enough to be to kind of turn this deck into a meta deck a little bit, because at least you have a card every turn that will just die and give you value, right? On the front side, this card, on the back side, I should say, on your Awaken side, this card is turns your leader into a draw 1, restand 2 on defense, which is pretty cool. Oob draws you a card if you have a Unison in play, which we will at some point, and it's also a blocker as well. 3-pan, Glimpse of Talent. Kind of this card does 1-drop cantrip, and obviously we're going to run Piccolo with it. This is kind of your package you always run. Just good blue stuff. This deck lacked, back in the day, this deck lacked a lot of pressure. You would play like a Booney, and then in my version, blue-red, you would use Cooler, Majin Buu, Hercule, and a Booney, and you have a lot of pressure. But now with how Dragon Ball has evolved, Booney obviously is not a good target anymore, and it just doesn't have enough. But now we have enough. I think we have enough good blue stuff. We can make this deck potentially work. One of the new cards, though, My Bearer of Hope. Top 5, a blue Saiyan that costs 4 or less, or a 2-drop Unison. And then activate main for 1 blue if your leader backside is this leader. You send this card from the drop to the warp. You get to play a Gogeta Pursuit of Power with 1 marker on it from your hand or your drop. Additionally, you play the card from your hand, you draw 1. So not only does it draw you a card, you can use it as Z energy. Very good Z energy. Very good Z energy target. Most decks now in the game are good. You'll see that they're good if you're able to play a 1-drop cantrip that does multiple things, right? And then you can warp it from your drop to play out the Unison, and if you play it from your hand, you draw another card. So it's potentially a 2-drop that draws you 2 cards and gives you a Unison. I would say this is easily super good for this deck. Now, one of the Unisons, not the Unison you can play off this guy, that's this guy. We have Super Warrior Evolution. Very used to be a fantastic Unison. Now it's just kind of mid. Always like the art on this card though. It's a dual attacker. If your leader is a blue Saiyan, and you have a blue Saiyan card in rest mode, your opponent doesn't take damage from attacks, which is very cool. Which is actually Pursuit of Power's effect. Same thing. This card's if you have a blue Saiyan in rest mode, you don't take damage. So both have the same permanent there, which is kind of how the deck is supposed to be played. Is you have these blockers, and then these Unisons that give you these very powerful effects. However, there's so much Unison removal now in the game, and since the green is valuable, which has most of the Unison removal, it's hard for these cards to stick. However, this card can pop 2 cards back to your opponent's hand, and then also play a 2-cost Saiyan or less. It's okay. Pursuit of Power, you can tap any of your battle cards or your leader to add a marker to this card. Or you can -2, draw a card, and then bounce any of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier to the bottom of their deck. This card used to be really cool back in set 10. Not as good now, but we can play it off the Mai. It's got some utility with the deck. Obviously, it's kind of what the deck flows around, is running a combination of these 2 Unisons. 4 of the new Trunks connect in the future. It's a 1-drop if you have a Unison with Vegito in its name, which are both of these guys here. And then when you play the card, draw 1, and then permanent of this card is in rest mode. Permanent, if this card is in rest mode, your opponent can't attack your Unison. So this allows you to, if you're not in a non-green matchup, you're going to be able to keep your Unisons alive. Then they have to kind of swing at this guy to remove it, which then if it dies, you're going to end up drawing a card and restanding an energy. So this card's definitely viable. And then 1 enveloped in Fighting Spirit. This is the Vegito piece for this deck. I would say poor playability. So it's a triple striker barrier. You play it for 4, which is a lot. If you played this card for 2, which is what most 8-drop boss monsters are being played for nowadays, this card would be really good, but it's 4. But it plays a Unison with Gogeta in its name from your hand with a marker on it, so you can play either one of those Unisons. And then if it's your opponent's turn, this card's rest mode, your blue Unison with Gogeta in its name gains 5k power, so you can kind of stop it from being attacked and give it 5k power. Card attacks, your opponent chooses up to one of your opponent's battle cards to place at the bottom of the owner's deck. Again, this card should have been a 2-cost if your leader is this Vegito card. Then this card would have been playable as a 4 of, but I put it as a 1 of just so I can show you guys the new support for it, but it is a bad card. I would probably just not play it. 2 Immortals Be Gone. It's a Saiyan card, so we could search it, but also just popping stuff in the combat stage is good. Not a bad card at all. 3 Heroic Prospect, so we have this, and I'm sure 17's in this deck as well, as most blue decks have it. This Floodgate has some playability, but we are playing a Unison-based strategy, so we kind of have to play this card, right? We can search it, but if it's played, your opponent can't attack with battle cards that cost more than their energy. Let's say bottom deck 2 cards. So the effect is still very powerful, but getting it out might be difficult against some matches, especially yellow. They're just going to T-blow this card. 4 Vegeta super combos. 2 oobs because we are playing generic blue, and having the removal, the draw power, and just like the anti-counter effect on this card is pretty good. 2 defending friends. 3 peel off Shu and Mai's. Just more combat tricks and defense. You see a lot of the cards we play, a lot of them play a card or have a on play like really good effect, right? Like or I say on like a really good effect, but like most of these cards are drawing us cards, and then the cards that are not drawing us cards are Saiyans, excluding like these guys here. But this guy draws a card. These 2 are not Saiyans, obviously. This guy draws a card though, so I guess it's really just 17 and Vegito plays a card. Yeah, so but I really like this card for blue decks. I think this card is underutilized a lot right now. I think people need to play this card more, just not against me, because I hate having this card played against me. 4D Magic and 3 Senzu Bean. That's normal blue stuff. We don't need to talk about that. 2 Go Tanks, Return of the Reaper of Justice. This is one of the sneaky little techs you can play in this deck. So if your leader is a mono blue Saiyan, you have a blue Unison in play, put this card from your hand in rest mode. So what's cool about this card is that once you play this guy, it's essentially like the new Cumber Secret rare, except you can play it for free. As long as you have a Unison in play, one of the Gogetas, this card comes into play, then you don't take damage. So if your opponent like hand dumps on you and you have the Unison in play, as long as you can find this card, you just activate battle, play it for free, then you don't take damage. So it's very powerful. It's unique, but it's why we run 2 of them. So that way if our opponent kills it on the next attack and they try to hand dump, we can just play another one. It's really good. One Beast Gohan and one Powers Reclaim. These are our two bigger, like, top-end guys. Beast Gohan seems actually really cool in this deck. So with Beast Gohan, being able to restand 2 energy, meaning you can use your triple strike multiple times, because this effect is not once per turn. So it's kind of one of the big pointers of this deck, is being able to use this effect to end games. So with that in Beast Gohan, you can turn this guy into like a 30k dual attack that triple strikes once or triple strikes twice. Coming out of 1 triple strike is hard enough. Coming out of 2 and 2 40k swings, it's pretty difficult. So yeah, that is the main deck. Z deck, pretty basic blue stuff, because Vegito did not receive any support in the Z deck category. We have 1 Surmounting for helping us to cycle. 1 In the Name of Hunger, just for barrier removal and potential ramp. 2 Beerus is probably the main one you're going to play just for removal. 1 Awaken Onslaught, being able to pitch a extra card, to draw a card and gain crit. It's pretty cool. You'll also be able to remove something 5 or less by bottom decking it. It's pretty good as well. 1 Stronger Together, Goku that forces your opponent down to 10 cards. This is very good in the blue matchup when blue is playing against Gogeta. You can just kind of remove like 7-8 cards from their hand. And then 1 Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, Godly Spirit. Big battle card. Makes your opponent bottom decks cards. And it has blocker, right? It's got blocker, so you also can use it as a defensive tool. And if you block with it, it dies. Then obviously you can restand energy and draw a card. So you got some pretty decent defense there. So this is the deck. Overall, I think this is probably a C tier deck. Until proven otherwise, I don't think we'll see. I think the problem is we won't see a lot of data with this deck. I don't think people are going to play it. I think people are just playing other blue stuff, like 3Han, Gogeta, obviously the Android decks. Even the Trunks Reboot starter deck is still better than this deck. So I don't see a lot of people playing this deck. However, it's very cool. The defensive pieces that you have, you can really get creative too, because as long as the card that's dying is blue, it doesn't matter if it's blue-yellow, doesn't matter if it's blue-green, blue-red. You can play the new Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku that's blue and yellow. Like, there's a lot of cool things you can do in the deck, and I advise you guys to test it out. If you guys are newer and you guys never played this deck before, it's a very fun generic blue deck where the engine is really as flexible as you want it to be. Being able to play just incredible multicolor combinations and being able to get energy back on defense, right? So it's very cool. I would suggest trying this deck out. I think Miracle Gogeta is more interesting to me. So I would definitely try that deck out as well. But if you want to try this deck, I would. If you haven't just like the slightest of inklings to test this deck, do it. I think you might have a lot of fun playing it. Just take this guy out. Just don't play this card. This card's not very good. So other than that, if you guys have anything you guys figured out about this deck that could potentially make it viable, let me know down in the comments. Would love to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you guys for supporting the channel as always, and I will see you guys in the next video.